Good morning, church family, and happy Sabbath. For those who do not know, my name is Matthew Kuninobu, and I am currently in the 10th grade here at the homeschool group here at our church. I'm excited to dive deeper into this topic of Youth Sabbath, theodicy. If God is so good, why is there bad in this world? As Jordan stated, God is love. It's who he is. It's his very nature. And as Summer said, God takes no blame or responsibility for the evil things that happen in this world. Satan is the one to blame. But the question arises, why didn't God destroy Lucifer as soon as he thought wrongly about God? Or couldn't he have just not created him in the first place? I mean, it makes sense, right? But that's not the case. So why exactly did God let Lucifer rebel? To find the answer, we must look to the Bible and spirit of prophecy, and do a little bit of critical thinking. Let's turn in our Bibles to Isaiah 46. Isaiah 46, verses 9 and 10. Verse 9 says, "Remember the former things of old. For I am God, and there is no other. For I am God, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times things that are not yet done, saying, My counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure." Notice what it says at the beginning of verse 10. It says that God knows the end from the beginning. So in other words, God knows exactly what has happened in the past and what will happen in the future. So since God is all-knowing, he could have easily just not created Lucifer, because he had the knowledge that Lucifer would turn his back and rebel against God. So, I mean, what's the point of putting effort into something that you know won't turn out right? Let's say that you are planning some event, either a wedding or birthday party or whatever it might. But for some reason you knew that no one was going to come. Would you still prepare food, buy decorations, invest time, money, effort, and hard work as if everything were normal? I mean, no, of course not. What would be the point if no one were coming? God could have easily not created Lucifer, since he had this knowledge. None of the angels or all of creation would ever have known. Life in heaven would have just continued. Everyone would have been content, that is, except for God. He could not bear with himself, knowing the fact that he didn't even give Lucifer a chance because it might make him look bad. That's selfishness, and selfishness is completely against God's nature. It was impossible for God to not create Lucifer. He knew that he had to. But the question still arises, why? Now that Lucifer was a created being, why did God allow him to continue in this rebellion? The spirit of prophecy gives us insight into the matter. Patriarchs and Prophets, page 41, says, "It was necessary for Lucifer's plans to be fully developed, that their true nature and tendency might be seen by all." Because Lucifer was of high position in heaven, many of the angels loved him dearly, and this caused him to be a great influence. If Lucifer had revealed his true thoughts of God to the angels, none of them would have followed him. So instead, he disguised his true rebellion so that he still appeared innocent. And this is exactly why God allowed Lucifer to carry out his plans. If God had eliminated Lucifer as soon as there was an evil thought, or even when Lucifer was disguising his rebellion, the angels would have doubted God's authority, because to them, Lucifer was an innocent angel. All of the universe would have been in complete confusion about what God had just done. Instead of destroying Lucifer before he openly rebelled, let's think of what would have happened if he did after. From then on, the whole universe would have served God out of fear of being blotted from existence, rather than serving God out of love. Now, I want you to think back to when you're, say, elementary, middle school, maybe even high school. Now, in some of your minds, you might think, of a bully. Now, if a bully came up to you and asked for money, would you give him the money just because you want to be nice and maybe he needed it? Or would you give it to him because you're afraid he might either hit you or do something worse? I mean, obviously, you do it because it's out of fear. And if God had eliminated Lucifer after he openly rebelled, many of the angels would have served God out of fear rather than love. Patriarchs and Prophets goes on to say that evil must be permitted to come to maturity. For the good of the entire universe through ceaseless ages, Satan must more fully develop his principles, that his charges might be seen in their true light by all created beings. In the book Desire of Ages, it says that it wasn't until Jesus was crucified on the cross that the angels, both loyal and disloyal, realized how directly opposite and evil the work of sin is. The death of Jesus for each of us is on the minds of millions worldwide this weekend, and I want each person here to know that at Calvary, Jesus demonstrated his infinite and boundless love for you and I. I mean, you can't help but see love when you look at and think about what Jesus went through for us. And it was at this cross that the character of Satan was fully revealed. But even then, even after murdering the Son of God, Satan was not destroyed. Desire of Ages continues by saying, man, as well as angels, must see the contrast between the Prince of Light and the Prince of Darkness. He must choose whom he will serve. The development, the carrying out, and the climax of sin and sinners, as Spirit of Prophecy says, reveals the true nature and tendency of both God and Satan. I encourage you to read Patriarchs and Prophets chapter 1 entitled, Why Was Sin Permitted? And Desire of Ages chapter 79 entitled, It Is Finished. Both of these chapters aren't too long and contain information about this topic that I wasn't able to cover. So, how does all this apply to our everyday lives? We must remember that sin and evil are allowed to continue for a reason. The first being to show man the contrast between the Prince of Light and the Prince of Darkness. God's government is based on goodness, mercy, truth, and love. And Satan's government is based on deceit, force, and selfishness. And second being, God allows sin so that his true love towards us is revealed. Though at times we may ask, where is God in all these terrorist attacks, abuse, war, divorce, and death? We must remember that these situations reveal the true love of God. Whenever tragedy strikes, or if it seems as though the Prince of Darkness has a grip on our lives or the lives of the loved ones around us, let's choose to follow the Prince of Light and put our continual trust in him, for he will work according to his will.